cousin Sera and I were both given to the dragon court. I went to the firstborn, Aldric. She went to the second son, Dorian. A year later, Sera bore a white dragon, while I came out, 9, ugly, malformed, nothing resembling a dragon. The Dragon King cared deeply about appearances. He named Dorian his heir on the spot. Aldric, in his fury, handed all 9 of my children to the Phoenix Court as blood catalysts, me along with them.
If I marry Sera, the throne will be mine.
I couldn't survive the shame. I walked into the sacred flame and let it take me. He didn't know. Sera was hybrid. I was pure. My children had been ugly because they took after him. When I opened my eyes, I was back on selection day.
Aldric, Dorian, the Fox clan has sent 2. Each of you choose.
I understood immediately. I had been reborn. This life, I could not let Aldric choose me. But as I stood there scheming, Aldric walked past me with a look of distaste and pulled Sera forward instead. I understood immediately. Aldric had been reborn too. I reached for Sera's hand, shook my head at her. The Dragon King wasn't a tyrant of these things. If she refused, she could go home. Sera yanked her hand away.
Lyra,
Satisfaction dripped from her voice.
don't tell me you're jealous that Aldric chose me.
The Dragon Court passed its throne the same way most courts did. Bloodline first, then birth order. Aldric and Dorian were both sons of the Dragon Queen. Aldric had precedence. Sera was blinded by the crown she thought she could see. I cursed her silently for a fool, then let her go. If Aldric took Sera, that left me with Dorian, except Dorian refused on the spot.
Father, I'm not ready for a consort.
I blinked, touched my face. I really wasn't that bad. Fine, go home. Find a fox-blooded man who actually deserved me. I was pleasantly imagining exactly that when a figure stepped out from the back of the hall. He wore a mask. 2 short horns curled from his brow.
Brother, did you forget I haven't taken a consort either?
Brother? Was this Caele, the Dragon King's youngest sibling? Rumor had it the Dragon King doted on him, had even once considered naming him heir. But Caele was wild, unpredictable, refused to take consort or sire children. The idea was shelved. He hadn't appeared in my first life at all. Caele strolled toward me, easy and unhurried, his dark eyes fixed on me.
Brother, she's beautiful. You let your sons choose first and didn't think of me? Hardly fair.
The Dragon King called him an insufferable wretch and waved his hand. I was given to Caele. Aldric, still holding Sera's arm, couldn't resist.
Uncle, don't let her face fool you.
Caelen's fingers locked around my wrist. His dark eyes sharpened instantly.
Who I choose is not your business.
Caele brought me to his quarters, no intention of removing the mask, not even that night, alone together. What surprised me more, he had no intention of sharing the bed. He placed a folded blanket down the center of the stone bed, divided it precisely in 2.
You sleep on the inside. I'll take the outside.
I sat there clutching my blanket, genuinely confused. Dragon men were known for their appetites. In my first life, Aldric had been relentless. Illness didn't slow him. My discomfort didn't slow him. Was Caele perhaps unable? He seemed to read my thoughts. His expression cooled.
I married you because I pitied you. If I hadn't, do you know where you'd be right now?
Aldric had planned to have me killed again. He wasn't going to marry me, but he wasn't going to release me either. The moment I stepped outside the Dragon Court unattached, I would have been bound and delivered to the Phoenix Lord as a gift. Aldric carried memories from our first life. He knew the Phoenix Lord wanted me. He intended to use that. The thought of what the Phoenix Lord did to the women in his court made me cold all over. That cold fear turned quickly into hatred. In our first life, Aldric had bled my 9 children dry. He had cornered me into the flame. Now, reborn, he still wasn't finished. How could something so brutal claim the right to rule? The thought followed me into sleep. Dawn. Caele pulled me up to pay morning respects to the Dragon King. I was still yawning when we arrived. Aldric and Sera were already there, composed, impeccable. Sera looked radiant. Her legs were shaking slightly, marks on her neck, a great many of them. I winced. That must have been brutal. Aldric was rough even when welcomed. For Sera's first time, she probably needed help getting out of bed. She caught my expression and mistook it for envy. She tugged her collar and leaned close.
How was your night, Lyra? Word is, he didn't touch you at all.
I glanced pointedly at her inner thighs.
Worry about yourself, Sera.
She drew back with a huff.
Enjoy it now. Wait until the king finishes with you.
Sure enough, the Dragon King's voice came cold and measured.
Caele, explain yourself.
Caele looked entirely unbothered.
Thought she was interesting yesterday. Changed my mind by evening.
The Dragon King hurled his crystal goblet into the courtyard.
Disgraceful.
After the morning audience, the Dragon King summoned me privately. He wanted to know what had actually happened. I told him I'd been too shy. He studied me for a long time, told me to give Caele an heir soon, then sent me on my way. I returned to find Caele waiting, frost in his eyes.
What did he ask you?
I told him everything. He was quiet for a moment. Then he told me to avoid private meetings with the Dragon King going forward. If anything came up, redirect it to him. It only deepened the mystery. The dynamic between these two was as unreadable as the mask Caele never removed. Before I could untangle any of it, news swept through the entire court. Sera was with child. A golden light surrounded her belly. Aldric was beside himself. He invited the whole court to witness at dawn. I was invited too, of course. Sera opened with a performance. She dropped the dragon pearl on the floor and smiled at me sweetly.
Lyra, I'm carrying dragon young. Could you pick that up for me?
She was barely a month along. She could bend perfectly well. This was theater. The court watched with amusement. Aldric joined in, implying I was a pretty bird who couldn't lay eggs. I was about to respond when a sharp gust lifted the pearl, knocked it against Sera's face, and dropped it neatly back into her hand. Caele lowered his wrist. He looked at Sera with no particular expression.
Did you lose the use of your hands?
Sera burst into tears against Aldric's chest. Aldric, humiliated, redirected me.
Uncle! She only asked her to pick something up. Why the outburst? Lyra's pretty, I'll give her that. But she can't even carry a dragon child. You're the only one who sees anything in her.
Caelen's response was immediate.
She's beautiful, at least. The two of you are ugly and useless. That puts her ahead.
Aldric went white, then shifted into dragon form. He looked ferocious. He fought like a beginner. Caele played with him, barely tried. The court watched Aldric crumble under what amounted to light sparring, and the question moved quietly through the room. Was this really the man meant to be king? Aldric stopped before he could lose more thoroughly. He grabbed Sera and walked out.
When my white dragon is born and takes the throne, none of you will be laughing!
Gone before anyone could point out he'd forgotten entirely about the golden light he'd summoned everyone to see. Aldric didn't forget slights. He waited until Caele was away and came for me. He wove mist across the back courtyard, trapping me on the hillside, called wind and rain down until I was soaked through and shaking. Only then did he appear. He looked at me, drenched, and something greedy moved across his face.
Lyra. He still hasn't touched you, hasn't he?
He came toward me. I backed up. He seized my wrist.
Your bloodline isn't quite right for a proper consort, but a secondary one? That could work.
I slapped him. He grabbed me by the throat. I couldn't breathe. Then he let go. Even now, Caelen's name keeps him from going all the way.
When he finds out the only things you can produce are malformed little monsters, let's see how long he protects you. You're a low clan princess, Lyra. When that day comes, I'll crush you like nothing.
He didn't know. The clan he despised was about to ruin him completely. I cast my glamour. Between one breath and the next, we were standing in front of the Dragon King's council chamber. Every word Aldric had just said had fallen on the Dragon King's ears, and the ears of every allied clan lord present. The Fox clan was low-ranked, yes, but they were under Dragon Court protection. What Aldric had said amounted to announcing, in public, that the Dragon Court held its subject clans in contempt, not something a future king could afford to say aloud. The Dragon King's crystal scepter cracked against Aldric's knees.
You have deeply disappointed me.
Aldric hit the ground. His shoulders trembled. The Dragon King stripped him of his privileges and confined him to quarters. The heir presumptive, favored of the court 1 hour ago, became invisible by afternoon. I had won cleanly. Caele was furious.
Do you understand how dangerous that was? What if he had actually killed you?
He'd figured it out, of course. I had used an enchantment to lure Aldric in deliberately. Revenge, yes, but also self-preservation. Aldric wasn't going to leave me alone regardless. Better to move first. I hadn't consulted Caele because he didn't know about my first life. He looked at me, soaking wet, and couldn't bring himself to say much more. He exhaled.
Don't do something like that without telling me. I'm your husband. Protecting you is my responsibility.
Something warm moved through my chest when he said it. Something I hadn't expected. Time moved quickly after that. The night Sera went into labor, a storm rolled in. Lightning, black clouds, golden light pouring off the palace walls. The court's ritual seers declared it the sign of a golden dragon's birth. The Dragon King got out of bed and went to Sera's chambers to wait. I wasn't going to miss this. Aldric's bloodline wasn't pure enough for a golden dragon. If that light was real, it wasn't his. Sera labored all night. Dragon young were large. She screamed until dawn. Then the screaming stopped. The child was not brought out. The Dragon King went by himself. What followed was a silence somehow worse than the screaming. Then came his order.
Seal it. tell no one.
Word leaked anyway. It always does. Sera had delivered something golden. It was not a dragon. A one-clawed golden serpent. A common golden serpent could, with enough medicine and time, be coaxed into dragon form. A one-clawed one could not. Too weak. It would never transform. And across its face, a large, dark birthmark. Ugly and unmistakable. The Dragon King took one look and left without naming it. The Dragon Court hadn't seen a birth to this poor in over 1,000 years. In my first life, Sera and Dorian produced a white dragon together. Sera and Aldric produced this. The bloodline failure was obvious. Aldric's own lineage wasn't as pure as he'd always believed. The Dragon King began arranging a match for Dorian the very next morning. He also issued a command. I was to produce a dragon child within the year. The entire court now understood exactly what Aldric had fathered. Aldric locked himself in his rooms. Sera's situation was no better. Aldric blamed her for everything, threatened to cast her out with the child and start over. My father wrote asking me to help her. I went, reluctantly. Sera was not grateful.
Don't look so pleased with yourself, Lyra. You know why Caele wears that mask? Because he's furious under it. You'll end up just like me, producing nothing worth keeping. And even if you do manage something, it'll just be catalyst stock for the king's workings.
Catalyst stock. My blood went cold. I thought of my 9 children in my first life, their deaths, and my hand went to my stomach before I could stop it. Sera refused to say more and threw me out. I went to Caele, asked him directly what was going on. He deflected, said it was to protect me. My hand was still on my stomach. I was done being patient.
Caele, stop. I'm telling you I'm pregnant.
He went very still. I held his gaze.
That night, after the spiced plum wine,
I'd caught a chill standing in Aldric's reign. I'd demanded wine to warm up. Caele had relented. We'd both had more than intended, and somewhere in the middle of it, ended up on the same half of the bed.
Why won't you let me see your face?
I traced my fingers along his mask. He caught my hand and pressed his lips to my wrist. From my wrist to my arm, then to my mouth.
Dragons are creatures of desire,
he said, voice low.
I know.
I reached up and pulled him closer by the back of his neck.
Come here, Caele. I want this.
Neither of us had expected it to matter. I took his hand.
I'm this child's mother. I have every right to know what threatens him. Let's protect him together.
Caele looked at me for a long time. Then the mask slipped from his fingers and fell. I stared. Caele was not ugly. He was, without question, the finest-looking man in the Dragon Court or anywhere else I had ever been, except for the scar. It ran the full length of his left cheek, deep, old, terrible. I touched it. A wound that left a mark like this had been profound. That night, he told me everything. Caele and the Dragon King were not full brothers. Caele had been born to the true Dragon Queen. The Dragon King was the son of a lesser consort, a concubine elevated to queen only after the true queen died in childbirth. By rights, Caele should have inherited, but he had no mother to protect him, and the new queen had no interest in his survival. So he did the only thing that kept him alive. He destroyed his own face. There was an old rule in the Dragon Court, unwritten but absolute. The king must be unblemished. A scarred face was a sign of heaven's disfavor. It disqualified. That was why the Dragon King obsessed over the appearance of his grandchildren. That was why he had demanded I carry Caelen's child, and why he wanted that child as a ritual catalyst. Pure blood, bound to the rightful bloodline he had stolen. No wonder Caele wore the mask. No wonder he hadn't touched me. He had been trying to make sure I never became pregnant at all. And now I am. I looked at him.
Are we giving this child up?
Caele gripped my shoulders.
Lyra, this child chose us. I'm not letting go. Not of either of you. I'm done retreating.
We decided immediately to conceal the pregnancy with glamour until we had a plan. The physical signs I could mask, the body's reactions I could not. At the Dragon King's feast, I vomited in front of everyone. Sera was at my side in an instant, rubbing my back, radiating delight.
Lyra, you're not pregnant, are you? What wonderful news that would be.
The Dragon King's eyes lit up before I could speak. The royal physician was summoned at a near run, his fingers on my wrist before he'd fully stopped moving. I kept my expression neutral and thought, this is over. Caele was at the Eastern Sea, reaching out to his mother's people. I was alone. The physician looked up from my pulse with great solemnity.
My lady is not with child. A digestive concern, I believe. Nothing more.
He caught my eye. He was winking at me. I understood instantly. I arranged my expression into embarrassment.
I did eat rather a lot of roasted chicken last night. 5, I think.
The hall went silent. The Dragon King dismissed me with barely concealed irritation. On the way back, I crossed paths with a physician who had caught the king's displeasure as a side effect of his performance. He told me he was making amends.
I could not save the queen. Let this be what I owe Lord Caele.
The true Dragon Queen had been killed by the Dragon King's household too. I couldn't let myself think about what would happen to my child if we failed. I sent a sealed letter to my mother that same day, requesting the complete glamour grimoire. As the Fox clan's legitimate princess, I had the right to inherit it. As a reckless child, I had only learned a fraction of it. Learn it fully, and I could deceive anyone. My mother sent it within days. The weeks that followed, drilling the grimoire by day, managing Sera and Aldric's attempts to catch me out by night. Sera appeared at my door daily. She was certain I was pregnant. Confirmation would earn her favor with both Aldric and the Dragon King. My glamour held. Then Sera arrived with a small, ornate box.
Your clan's Radiance Elixir arrived. I brought it over for you.
The Radiance Elixir was a staple among Fox women. Most took several times a month. It preserved beauty and complexion. It also contained one ingredient that harmed unborn children. Every pregnant Fox woman stopped taking it immediately. Sera knew this. I didn't reach for the box.
You've looked exhausted lately. Has the elixir stopped agreeing with you?
She tried to watch me take one on the spot. I showed her the door. My refusal, of course, looked exactly like guilt. Within the hour, she was back, with Aldric, the Dragon King, and a clan priestess. Sera pointed at me.
The Fox clan has a glamour craft that can conceal the truth. I believe Lyra is using it right now to hide her pregnancy.
The Dragon King's scepter tapped the floor. His eyes settled on me.
Is that so?
I burst into tears and said I had no idea what she was talking about. Sera's patience snapped.
Stop performing! I brought someone who can see through you.
The priestess stepped forward. I recognized her the moment she entered. Sera had gone all the way back to the Fox clan and brought Nora, the most powerful ritual practitioner our people had. Nora raised her staff toward my face.
My lady, forgive the intrusion.
She was talented, genuinely. Her craft swept through the room in broad circles. What Sera had apparently forgotten, the most talented practitioner in the Fox clan was my mother. Under my mother's direct instruction, I had reached the highest level of glamour craft. Nora had not. She had no chance. Nora circled me 3 times, then 3 more. Her expression shifted from confidence to confusion.
That's impossible.
She used her last resort. Sacred flame bloomed in her palm, pure foxfire, the kind that burned through all illusion. Using it costs enormous reserves. Whatever Sera had promised her, it had been worth it to Nora. Nora stood holding the sacred flame. I quietly brought out my reflecting talisman, her expression troubled.
Your Majesty, I find nothing irregular about Lady Lyra. It's possible she has reached the highest level of glamour craft. That is beyond my ability to penetrate.
The Dragon King's gaze moved me. His frown eased into something calculating.
I underestimated Caele.
Something in his tone made my skin tighten. Before I could respond, his hand moved. Everything went dark. I woke in a quiet wing of the palace I didn't recognize. The Dragon King sat above me, studying my stomach with calm, unhurried interest.
Awake? I have to say, you and Caele managed to hide it longer than I expected.
I pulled my hands over my belly instinctively. No point in performing anymore.
Is this what we're calling it? Imprisonment?
He smiled the way people smile when they want you to feel stupid for asking.
Imprisonment. I'm concerned for Caelen's child, that's all. He's away. Someone should look after things. When he returns, you'll all be together again.
He knew Caele had gone to the Eastern Sea to call in forces. I had to do something. After he left, I lay on the bed and stared at the ceiling. The chamber was sealed tight, warding circles on every surface. My glamour was useless here. Nothing living could pass in or out. Then, the next morning, 2 servants whispered outside my door and forgot how thin walls were.
Lord Aldric is taking a new consort. Already? His last one just gave birth. And didn't she do something for the king? Doesn't matter anymore. She's been sent back to the Fox clan. Terrible, really. The child went with her, they say?
Sera had been sent away. No. Aldric didn't send people away. That wasn't how he operated. I reached into the lining of my robe and found the feather whistle. My father had pressed one into each of our hands the day we left home. One for me, one for Sera, so we could always find each other. I had never expected to need it. Through the whistle, I learned the truth. Sera had been handed to the Phoenix Lord, exactly as I had been in my first life. Her child was missing. Hearing my voice through the whistle, Sera finally understood why I had tried to stop her from taking Aldric's hand that day. She was frantic. She begged me to save her. Save her child! I told her I couldn't do it alone. We had to work together. She went quiet. I started thinking of other ways to reach Caele. Then her voice came back through the whistle. Steady this time. She would help me. She would get a message out. Something had changed. She had found her child's body the night before. The one-clawed serpent had been too low ranked for a blood catalyst, so they used it for something worse, a test subject. The body was covered in bruising, dark purple from end to end. Sera had looked at it, and something in her simply stopped functioning the way it used to. She would get my message to Caele, and after that, she wanted Aldric. We made our plan quickly. My part was simple. Wait, Caele came back faster than I thought he would.
Lyra, it's me.
He was suddenly there, his hand around my wrist. No time, we're leaving. And the Dragon King materialized in the doorway like smoke given form.
Caele, you return and don't come to greet your brother first?
Caele put himself between me and the door. I reached past his arm and took his hand. I wanted him to know I wasn't standing behind him. I was standing with him. The Dragon King looked at our joined hands and something crossed his face I hadn't expected. Something that looked almost like grief.
Caele, why has fortune always favored you? Your father's regard, your mother's love, that face, and now a wife who would walk into ruin beside you.
His voice went flat.
I refuse to accept it.
He looked at me.
Leave him. I'll see you safely delivered, name you a lady of the court, comfort for the rest of your life. What do you say?
I almost laughed. Aldric had been disgusting. This old man was somehow worse. I looked at the lines of his face.
Why would I leave him for someone who looks like you?
The Dragon King's vanity was his deepest wound. In truth, he wasn't ugly. No man ruled the Dragon Court on an ugly face. But next to Caele, he had always known the difference. My words landed exactly where I meant them to.
You've chosen the hard way!
He gave the order. Armed guards poured in from every entrance.
Take them both! Let's see how defiant they are after!
What he didn't know, the soul-binding relic from the Eastern Sea was already pressed against his spine. Before his guards could reach us, Caelen's forces had taken every one of them. The Elder Council entered from the outer hall and knelt.
We welcome the return of our true king.
The Dragon King stood very still. Then he shouted,
Have you all lost your minds? I am king! This is treason!
These elders had served the court before the Dragonlord's time. They had always belonged to Caelen's cause. They had simply been afraid for too long. The Dragonlord had made too many enemies, pushed too many allies toward resentment. When Caele came to them, they did not hesitate. The Dragon King was forced to his knees. He kept his chin up.
You're all blind! His face is damaged! A scarred king is no king at all! Release me or I'll have every one of you destroyed!
I looked at him for a moment. Then I reached up and removed Caelen's mask myself. The scar was gone. His face was unmarked, clean. Because Fox Clan women knew, above everything else, how to heal what had been broken. From the night Caele showed me the scar, I had been treating it. The mask continued after the healing for one reason only, to let the Dragon King believe nothing had changed, right up until everything had. I looked at the Dragon King. I should have mentioned, the Fox Clan's greatest gift isn't glamour. I let him work out the rest. Facing the united Elder Council, Caelen's forces, and a husband whose disqualifying flaw no longer existed, the Dragon King did the only thing left to him. He picked up the crystal scepter and drove it into his own throat. Blood crossed the throne room floor. Aldric collapsed. He scrambled to his knees and begged, loudly, repeatedly. Technically, his fate was mine to decide, but Sera's price for helping me had been simple and non-negotiable. She wanted Aldric. A deal was a deal. I glanced at him on the floor and patted Sera's shoulder. Don't disappoint me. Don't disappoint me. Sera looked at Aldric with the expression of someone who had thought about this moment for a very long time. I won't. I'll make sure he can't die and can't bear to live. She meant it. She kept it. The day she took him back, she had his bloodline formally tested. The results, which the Dragon King had been falsifying for years, showed Aldric at the lowest rank the Dragon Court recognized, barely above the one-clawed serpent he had fathered. Without Sera's own strong bloodline, even that much wouldn't have been possible. She made the results public. Every accusation Aldric had leveled at her inverted in a single afternoon. When Aldric saw the numbers, something in him broke. He kept saying it. He'd been reborn. This wasn't supposed to happen. He wanted to die. He didn't get to. Sera had him placed with the lowest-ranked clan in the territory, assigned as an alchemical thrall. He woke up to it every day. I spent my pregnancy eating well and watching events unfold from a comfortable distance. Perhaps it was contentment. Perhaps it was Caele. Perhaps it was simply this life being different from the last. When my time came, I delivered 9 dragons young. Every one of them carried something from my first 9 children. A feature, a quality, something I recognized. But this time those things fit. What had seemed strange before was beautiful now. Each one entirely, completely themselves. Ugly or lovely, it would not have mattered. Caele and I had already decided we would love them exactly as they came.